Hi, Dr. C here with you with more MPJE study tips. Let's talk about the MPJE competency statements. In particular, I want to talk about the MPJE competency statements that just went into effect in March of 2023. The competency statements are basically the blueprint for the exam. Every question on the MPJE is tied to a particular competency statement, and you have to pass a certain number of these competency statements in order to pass the exam. So it's important that you read through all of the competency statements. Here's the thing though, the previous version of the competency statements had a lot more detail in them, so it made it easier to provide you with advice on what you need to study. These new competency statements are much broader and do not give you that much detail. Now, ironically, I was an advocate for rewriting these competency statements because I felt the previous ones were poorly organized, they were somewhat repetitive, and they included some topics that I thought were really unnecessary. So NABP did actually rewrite the competency statements, and they certainly fixed some of those issues. But my fear now is that they don't provide enough detail to assist the test takers on what they need to study. Now, I've had a couple people tell me that with these new competency statements, they expect the exam to be completely different now than it was previously. I'm not so sure about that because even though the new competency statements don't provide a lot of detail, many of the same topics that were on the previous competency statements can be placed into these new competency statements. Let me give you an example. The previous competency statement specifically mentioned the terms adulteration and misbranding of drugs under the statement that was called conditions under which a pharmaceutical product may not be dispensed. Under the new competency statements, guess what? The words adulteration and misbranding don't appear anywhere at all. Now, does that mean you're not going to be tested on those concepts? I don't think so. My guess is you still need to know about adulteration and misbranding, even though they aren't specifically mentioned in the competency statements. And that's because they could misbranding and adulteration can very well fit under a new competency statement that simply says drug product conditions that prohibit dispensing. Even though they don't specifically mention adulteration and misbranding, that's probably what they want to cover under that particular statement. There are many more examples like this. So to help you, I put together an MPJE competency cross-reference chart. This chart takes all of the specifics that are in the old competency statements and cross-references them to the new competency statements. You can download that chart for free on our website. Click below to get that information. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, I was obviously not involved in drafting the new MPJE competencies, and that chart is really my best guess of where some of the previous topics may fall under the new competency statements. Some of the statements may have been eliminated completely, but I do feel like this chart will help you in your studies and your preparation. Hi, Dr. C here. These are all of our review guides you can see in front of you. They're all in spiral binding to make it easy to lay flat when you're trying to study. I wish you the best of luck in your preparation for the MPJE. If you have any questions or comments, please put comments in the video below. You can also submit any questions you have on our website at mpjereviews.com. Best of luck as you prepare for the MPJE.